A blanket tariff of 25% on steel and aluminium imports to the US has come into effect for all of America's trading partners with no exceptions or exemptions. In response, the European Union has said it will impose counter tariffs on some $28 billion worth of US goods from next month. The measure raises a flat duty on steel and aluminium entering the US and ends all country exemptions to the levies. Well, the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, says higher tariffs are in no one's interests. Here's what she said when she spoke earlier.
The European Union must act to protect consumers and business. The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate. As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros.
Ursula von der Leyen. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the move was unjustified.
Such a decision by the Trump administration is entirely unjustified. This is against the spirit of our two nations' enduring friendship and fundamentally at odds with the benefits that our economic partnership has delivered over more than 70 years.
Well, the UK's Trade Minister Jonathan Reynolds has said that he's disappointed the US has imposed tariffs on steel and aluminium. Our chief political correspondent Henry Zeffman joins us now. Disappointed is probably an understatement, Henry.
Yeah, I think disappointed definitely is. I mean, Keir Starmer has spoken to Donald Trump a lot for a lot of reasons over the last few weeks, but they had a phone call on Monday where, among other things, the Prime Minister urged the US President not to go ahead, or rather to exempt the UK from these tariffs. And Donald Trump didn't do so. So that is a failure from the UK government, although cushioned, I think, that blow by the fact that no country has been exempted from these tariffs. I think what's most interesting this morning is that for all the language of disappointment, the UK government has made an important decision and a different decision to, for example, the European Commission, as you were saying there. The UK is not going to retaliate against the US with tariffs of its own, at least for now. It appears, from what Jonathan Reynolds has been saying, that the government's hope is that those negotiations towards a UK-US trade deal, which may well be some way off, but which Donald Trump appeared very positive about when he had Keir Starmer over to the White House a few weeks ago, may well in time mean that these tariffs are eliminated, as well as a host of other trade barriers.
So what's the thinking then? Just sit it out, because if you don't, you might upset that apple cart.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, it's not just this apple cart, right? I mean, I think when it comes to dealing with, well, any country, but certainly Donald Trump and his, perhaps, shall we say, slightly chaotic approach to trade policy and geopolitics, it all comes as a package. And we've also been talking this morning about the prospects for a ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. And we know that the UK government was very involved in drawing up what that might look like, in trying to repair the relationship between Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump after that extraordinary bust-up in the Oval Office a few weeks ago between those two leaders. And I think there will be a fear in the UK government that if they go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump on trade, they risk damaging that genuinely warm relationship which Keir Starmer appears to have been able to forge with Donald Trump, at least for now, when actually they are trying to leverage that relationship for important geopolitical reasons. But look, whether that survives weeks or months of these tariffs actually being applied to UK businesses, let's wait and see.
Henry, for the moment, thank you very much. Henry Zeffman in Westminster. Well, with us is our business correspondent, Mark Ashdown. So, Mark, how is this being received by the steel industry? Yeah, well, I can pick up a little bit on what Henry was saying there. We had briefings yesterday behind the scenes with the UK government. I think cool heads is the sort of mantra at the moment. As Henry said there, sort of a wait and see. But I think there's a bit of quiet confidence here in that when it comes to the UK steel industry, it's very specialised. The types of steel and aluminium that they produce and ship out to America are very niche, shall we say. So things that go into, say, US Navy subs,
and the aerospace industry there, not the sort of things that you just suddenly quickly source from elsewhere. So I think the thinking behind the scenes is if they want to get US companies to pay more money for it, then that's up to them. They're not going to sort of reciprocate with tariffs themselves. As I say, the hope being that at some point they say they're fully engaged with the US government to try and find solutions. That's the word they're using. So a bit of confidence there that they can, as Henry said there, sort of ride this out. And given the fact that Trump's mantra seems to be all about balancing trade, so his theory is that the US exports more, so he wants to balance it out. The UK and the US have a very balanced trade relationships. I think the hope is there's no need to ramp up any tariffs particularly. So I think the hope is this is a big moment for Trump. He will then spend the next days, weeks trying to find ways to carve out little deals.
But internationally, though, everyone those who are affected keep saying this isn't going to serve anybody well.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, if we look at the sort of broader picture then, putting the UK to one side, the US is the biggest steel importer in the world. Canada, for example, its biggest customer. 6 million tonnes flowed into America last year. 4.1 million tonnes from Brazil, 3.2 million from Mexico. Again, not just the sort of things you can create factories to replace. So I think, there is a sort of a concern this may escalate. Overnight, of course, we had a climb down on the threat to impose a 50% tariff on Canadian imports from north of the border. As I say, it's quite a fast-moving situation. When I had this briefing yesterday, there was about 12 hours to go. I said that's about a month in Trump time, so lots could change. At the time, it was 25% on Canada. Then it ramped up to 50%. Now it's back down to 25%. Just a reminder, of course, this is a tariff on the companies in America. They pay this. So if they import from Canadian companies or any companies, countries around the world, they will pay that tariff now. And talking to people in the industry, UK Steel, for example, said they're extremely disappointed by this, echoed across industries around Europe and the world. I think they're hoping some calm heads will prevail eventually.
Don't take a day off, will you? Like this. Mark, thank you very much, Mark Ashton.